Tim Templeton still has a great imagination as an adult. He now enjoys many playful pursuits as a family man who is married to Carol, the family's primary provider, and the father of Tabitha and Tina. Tim also informs us that the triplets are now all police officers and that Jimbo and Stacy, from the original baby gang, are now married. Jimbo serves as mayor while Stacy serves as their brain between the two. The fact that the girls look up to Tim's brother Ted, a successful hedge fund manager, more than they do Tim, has contributed to a rift between the two brothers. Ted spoils his nieces with expensive gifts, including a pony named Precious that seems to despise Tim, because he doesn't always show up for Tim. Tabitha has been agreed to the Acorn Center, a prestigious school for bright children like her. She focuses so intently on her work that it almost seems as though Tim is being ignored. Since she is too old for goodnight kisses, she refuses his attempt to kiss her goodnight and extends her arm for a handshake. When Tabitha says to a picture of Ted that she aspires to succeed like him in the future, Tim is hurt, especially. Tim visits the attic and finds his old childhood toys there. The old alarm clock Wizzy, who is now armless, is upset that Tim put him away and forgot about him. Tim bemoans to Wizzy his perception that Tabitha is moving away from him. At that point, Tina's room starts to make noise. She turns out to be a boss baby as well, sent by Baby Corp for a crucial mission, much to his surprise. However, Tim declines to involve Ted despite Tina's request for him to come and lend a hand. After seeing a doll that records voices, Tina has an epiphany. Ted travels in a helicopter to Tim's house thinking Tabitha injured herself after falling off Precious, but Tina had forged a voicemail from Tim. Tim invites Ted into the kitchen for a private conversation after the rest of the family coos over Ted and Tabitha kisses him goodnight to Tim's dismay. Ted and Tim argue as Tim tries to explain things to Ted about Tina, but Ted can't remember anything about his time as a boss baby. Then Tina takes her dad and uncle on a trip after pulling out the magic pacifiers. When the three are brought to Baby Corp, Ted's memories begin to flood back. Given that it is thought he single-handedly saved the company, he even has a gold statue erected in his honor. The brothers are shown to a room where Tina explains the mission. The founder of the school, Dr. Erwin Armstrong, is allegedly plotting something involving the students at the school, and Baby Corp has reason to believe that something is going on at the Acorn Center. Tim is aware that Tabitha might be involved and understands why she may be working too hard and neglecting her childhood. When the three of them get home, Tina gives Tim and Ted a formula that will turn them back into their younger selves for 48 hours, allowing them to pose as Acorn Center students and introduce bugs into Armstrong's workspace. The brothers fight once more as they start to resemble themselves from the previous film. Tim has to conceal his transformation by claiming he and Ted are going on a brotherly bonding trip when Carol and Tabitha return from an errand. Carol, however, reminds Tim to return in time for his parents' arrival as well as Tabitha's appearance in the winter pageant. Tim has a nightmare that night in which Tabitha flees from him and everyone in his family, including his parents Ted Sr. and Janice, are criticizing him for being a bad father. He notices when he awakens that he and Ted are running late for their first day at the Acorn Center. They sneak into their old sailor garb but are late for the bus. They are forced to ride Precious through the streets, where they wreck a lot of property, including a Christmas tree, while Carol drives the girls to school and Tina can see her father and uncle become involved in the mayhem. Tim ends up in Tabitha's class while posing as Marcos Lightspeed, and the brothers make it to school with Ted having to accompany the infants. The two agree upon a time when they will break into Armstrong's workplace and plant the bug. Tabitha is the top student but competes with snotty kid Nathan and his friend Megan in the class taught by a projection of Armstrong. Tim is placed in timeout inside the box, which frightens the other children, while Ted manages to escape the class using glue to climb the walls. Ted arrives at Armstrong's office and is taken aback to discover that Armstrong had been anticipating him. Armstrong is actually a super smart baby who is using a robotic suit to pass for an adult. He believed he was too intelligent to be constrained by his parents, so he left them and set up the Acorn Center to produce more people with his intelligence. He believes Ted would be a good ally in his endeavors. Following Ted's encounter with some young ninjas, Armstrong gives Ted a tour of the facility and explains his plan to do away with Parents Forever using a new app that he is having the kids develop. After school, Ted goes home with Precious, who is buried under children after Tim draws attention to her as retaliation for her being a jerk, and the girls ride back with Tim in the car, with Tina being annoyed at her dad for possibly jeopardizing the mission. Tim tries to hide old photos of himself from his childhood at home so that people won't recognize him as a child anymore. When Tim asks Tabitha about her father, she replies that she is not ashamed of him but feels she falls short of the high standards he has set for creativity. When Ted Sr. and Janice arrive, they immediately notice that Marcos resembles Tim. They also mention Tim time, which they define as Tim escaping into his own world in order to escape reality, when Tabitha worries that he won't show up for the pageant. Additionally, the older Templetons talk about how much closer Tim and Ted used to be, which Ted, who is concealed, overhears. Tabitha is nervous and sings off-key despite Tim's efforts to help her prepare for the pageant. Tim performs "If You Wanna Sing Out" for her and encourages her to see the world from his point of view by demonstrating how to reach her full potential. Then he leaves, but sneaks right back inside the home. Tim later reunites with Ted and Tina, and Ted informs them that Baby Corp will continue to manage the mission so the brothers' lives can resume normalcy. Since the two haven't reconnected in the way Tina had hoped, Tina pretends that Baby Corp is calling and declining to assist, which prompts Tim and Ted to complete the task on their own. During the winter pageant, the plan is supposed to go into effect. Tim's family waits for him while Ted watches with Armstrong. Ted understands that because the parents are using Armstrong's app to record the pageant, his plan will succeed and turn the parents into zombies. Tim tries to stop Ted from ruining Tabitha's performance as he tries to end the show. The brothers argue once more, talking about how as they grew older, they stopped supporting one another. They are caught by Armstrong, who then places them in the box. The parents were already under the influence of the app, so when Tabitha went up to perform, no one really paid attention, and she had to run away in tears. A countdown for when the app will go live worldwide begins as Armstrong and his children emerge from the stage on a huge cake. As they make amends to one another for their actions, Tim and Ted are rescued when they both whistle for Precious to free them from the box before they drown inside. The stories their father told them were all true, Tina explains to Tabitha in their first conversation. The sisters work as a team to support their father and uncle. As the zombie parents close in on them, Tabitha and Tina steal one of Armstrong's bodysuits as Tim and Ted ride Precious to the enormous acorn that is releasing the signal to the app. Pulling the fire alarm to short-circuit the acorn fails, so Tabitha and Tina fight Armstrong until they see the candies and soda, what's inside his bodysuit, fall out. At that point, they combine Diet Coke and Mentos to create an explosion that floods the acorn and ends the advertisement. Tabitha stumbles, but Tim and Ted transform back into their adult selves in time to save her. Tabitha then kisses her father on the cheek as a gesture of gratitude. Armstrong is then defeated as he witnesses the Templetons' loving reunion as Carol and the older Templetons locate Tim and Ted with the girls. The brothers are then informed by Tina that the brothers' reunion was always the main goal and that stopping Armstrong was just an added bonus. The entire family, aside from Ted, is present at Tim's home later on Christmas Day. When Tim goes outside, he discovers a ton of gifts and a huge golden statue of Tim as a child holding a mug that reads, "World's Best Dad, made by Ted." After that, Tina and Tabitha join Ted in a snowball fight as a surprise for Tim. The movie ends with Armstrong deciding to return to his normal childhood and being embraced by his parents once again. Well, that's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it, and please support us by subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to get notification for new videos every we post.